That evening, Emma strolled in as if she'd just left a celebration she wished would never stop. Her face was rosy, and her lipstick was smeared more than I cared for. I remained on the sofa, not bothering to glance up. One hand clutched an envelope, the other a tumbler of bourbon. The moment she spotted me, she froze. For a brief second, I saw it flicker across her face, shock, shame. But she quickly masked it, as if it had never been there. Emma was always skilled at hiding her tracks, a master at spinning tales. This time, though, there was no escape. She knew it. Till evening, I said, my voice steady, though I felt like a taut string about to break. She didn't respond immediately. Dropping her bag on the table, she flashed an odd, tight smile. Hey, you're back earlier than usual, she said. I passed her the envelope, my tone still unnervingly calm. Got something for you, I said. Her eyes sharpened as she took it, suspicion already creeping in, but she tore it open anyway. She peeled back the flap carefully, as if it might explode. Inside were photos, unmistakable and vivid. Her with another man, arms entwined, laughing, hands clasped, her head resting on his shoulder like he was her entire world. A week ago, I'd found a receipt that didn't make sense. That's when I hired the private eye. He was worth every penny. I watched her face pale, and for a moment, I felt a grim satisfaction seeing her drain of color. What's this, James? She stammered, barely getting the words out. I leaned forward, keeping my voice even. Don't bother fighting it, darling. It's easier if you don't. She stumbled back, nearly tripping, as if the ground had shifted beneath her. This isn't what it seems, she said, her voice breaking. I raised an eyebrow, swallowing a bitter laugh. Really? Because it looks like my wife's been sneaking around, making me look like a fool. So, Emma, tell me, what does it seem like to you? For once, her practiced composure was gone. No smug grin to cover her lies. Her hand trembled as she reached for her phone, probably hoping someone could pull her out of this mess. Need his help to explain this? I asked, nodding at the photos. Maybe I should just call him myself, have him over. We can sort this out, the three of us. Her jaw clenched. Don't you dare, James. It's not what you think, she said sharply. He's just a friend. A friend? My blood surged, but I kept it under control. I stayed calm, holding back the anger burning inside. Do you treat all your friends like that? Or is he just special? I snapped. She opened her mouth, ready with another excuse, but I cut her off. Don't even start, Emma. I've got more than just photos, hotel receipts, text messages, everything. Did you really think you could keep this hidden forever? She stepped back again, her face twisting with fury now, as if I were the one in the wrong. You're going to throw away 6 years over a few stupid pictures, she said, her voice laced with mock disbelief. You're being ridiculous. Ridiculous. I echoed, stunned. You cheated on me, Emma. Lied to my face. Made me feel like I was losing my mind while you were out with it, doing whatever the hell you wanted. But she didn't flinch. She just stood there, unbothered. And that's when it sank in she didn't care. No apology, no remorse, nothing. Just anger. Not because she regretted it, but because I'd shattered her secret little world. The room was heavy with tension. I half expected her to cry, beg, or toss out some flimsy excuse. But she didn't. Instead, she crossed her arms and glared at me, as if I betrayed her. So, what now, James? She sneered. You going to sit there looking all smug, like you won something? It was like a switch had flipped. The sweetness she used to hide her lies was gone. No pretense this time. This was the real Emma, cold, brazen, unapologetic. Want to know what now? I said, rising slowly. I'll let the silence linger, but it sting. Now you start talking. From the beginning. Who is he? She rolled her eyes, not even pretending anymore. Why should I tell you anything so you can play the victim? I'm not here for your little drama. Her voice was icy, cutting. The woman I thought I knew was gone. I gritted my teeth, staying composed. Let me get this straight, Emma. You lie for months, sneak around like a coward, and I don't even deserve an explanation. She groaned, throwing her hands up. Fine, she snapped. You want the truth? He listens to me. He makes me feel alive. I wouldn't have needed him if you weren't so damn predictable, always working, just going through the motions. You left me alone in this marriage, James. I stared at her, floored. So that was her excuse. I see, I said, disbelief heavy in my voice. So cheating was your answer because I was out working to keep us afloat? Don't twist my words, she fired back, eyes blazing. If you hadn't checked out months ago, I wouldn't have had to look elsewhere. She glared at me like I was a stranger. You're a good provider, James, but that's all you've been for a long time. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. What did you want me to be, Emma? A mind reader? I believed we were partners. Couldn't you have opened up, been truthful, like couples in a genuine marriage? Emma let out a dismissive huff and turned her back, arms folded tightly. You'd have just turned it around, made me feel bad for not being happy. You always do. In that moment, everything snapped into clarity. The woman I'd married was gone. I was staring at a stranger who'd been hiding right in front of me, showing only the facade she wanted me to see. Now, with the truth exposed, she didn't even try to pretend anymore. Well, I said, my voice quiet, the disgust nearly choking me. So that's it. You outgrew us, or just got sick of acting like you cared. She met my gaze, unyielding. Think whatever you want, James. I'm done putting on a show for you. Her icy tone hit like a blow. She didn't care that she'd shattered everything She didn't care that she'd humiliated me. All she cared about was herself. Something shifted inside me then. I wasn't sad. I wasn't broken. I felt resolute. Fine, I said, my voice even. If you're done pretending, so am I. Her eyes narrowed, uncertain of my meaning. But I was no longer defeated. I was done playing the good guy. She thought she'd won. Thought she'd broken me. She was about to learn what happens when I stop holding back. For the first time that night, Emma looked uneasy. She didn't know what was coming, and that's when I knew I had the advantage. Maybe she expected me to lose control, yell, smash something, storm out, or hand over the house and the life we built like it meant nothing, like that's all she ever wanted. But she didn't know what was coming. She hadn't seen this side of me yet. She would soon. I had a plan, and I wasn't giving her any edge. All right, Emma, I said, my voice flat and you're done pretending. Pretending? She shot back, trying to sound insulted. I'm done pretending, I repeat, letting the silence linger just long enough to make her uneasy. Let's keep this simple. No fights, no shouting. Since you think I'm just the guy who pays the bills, I'll make sure you're taken care of. I paused, letting the words settle before adding, but I've got one last thing for you. She rolled her eyes, flipping her hair like I was making a bad joke, like I was the joke. Fine. Really? What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done with the drama. I'm giving you what you want, I said, stepping toward her slowly, deliberately. Freedom, him, or whoever else you've got lined up. I watched her closely. Her confidence started to falter. Her brows knitted together. She was finally catching on. You're serious? I nodded, calm as stone. Dead serious. We'll put it all in writing. We split clean and simple. One condition. That caught her attention. Her posture stiffened, like she sensed the trap before I even said it. What condition? She asked warily. A slow smile crept across my face. You agree to the divorce. No alimony. You leave with what you brought, and I do the same. If we sell the house, we split it. After that, you're on your own. Your boyfriend can cover your bills from now on. Her jaw dropped. Fury replaced shock in an instant. Are you out of your mind, James? You think I'm walking away from this with nothing? I've been your wife for 6 years. You can't just toss me out like garbage. Oh, I can, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. Or you can stay here, alone, in this life you're so miserable in. Either way, I'm done being your fool. Her fist clenched, her eyes boring into mine, searching for a crack, but she found none. She knew I wasn't bluffing. You really think you can cheat me out of what I'm owed? She hissed. I let out a dry, hollow laugh. You still don't get it. I've been playing your game all along, and now it's mine. I'm being generous, more than you deserve. You've got 24 hours. Take it or leave it. After that, my lawyer takes over. Her face contorted with bitter rage. But I didn't budge. I didn't waver. No more guilt. No more giving in. I could finally see her for who she was. The mask was off. She wasn't confused or broken. She was selfish, cold, always had been. I gave her one last look, then turned and headed upstairs. I didn't owe her another moment of my time. Let her stew. The clock was ticking, and when it hit 0, everything would change. She'd lose it all because she chose to throw it away. The next morning, I left without a word. I didn't care if she was crying, scheming, or raging. It didn't matter anymore. I had things to do. First stop, my lawyer's office. I wasn't leaving anything to chance. I wanted this clean. No loopholes. No way for her to twist things in her favor. That's why I went to Ethan, my old college buddy, now a seasoned divorce attorney. He'd been through his own nightmare with his ex, so he understood exactly what kind of person Emma had become. I laid it all out for him. Every text, every lie, every piece of evidence. I watched his expression shift as he went through it, his usual lawyerly calm giving way to something sharper, more focused. He opened the file, scanned it quickly, then met my gaze, his eyes piercing. So, if she signs, she walks away with nothing, he asked. If she signs, she gets out clean. If she fights, she gets destroyed, I said, each word like a hammer driving a nail. No mercy. She chose this path. Let her live with it. Ethan nodded, scribbling notes. He slid a stack of papers across the desk toward me. With what you've got here, no judge is going to side with her. If Emma drags this to court, she'll lose quickly. She'll waste money on attorneys and walk away with nothing but a suitcase, if she's lucky. I grabbed the pen and signed without a pause. Each stroke was a sharp, deliberate cut, severing the ties. This wasn't just a divorce. It was a fresh start. The chains binding me to her were breaking. No more deception. No more compromising for peace. I was finished going along with her games. This was my moment, and I was ready to follow through. Next, I contacted the movers, instructing them on what to take and where to deliver it. I'd leave Emma in the house until it sold, letting her think she'd gain something. But I wasn't leaving a trace of myself behind, not a single photo, not even a stray sock. Packing each box felt like shedding the past. Every step out of that house brought me closer to liberation. I hadn't felt the sharp and focused in years. When I returned, her time was nearly up. There she was, seated at the dining table, staring into an untouched coffee mug. Her mascara was streaked from the night before, her eyes swollen, as if she'd cried herself dry. She looked up, a mix of resentment and desperation in her gaze. "You really think this is fair?" she said, her voice soft, almost trembling, grasping for a shred of pity. It was all she had left. I set my keys on the counter and sat across from her, calm and unwavering. I met her eyes without flinching. "I think it's the fairest thing I've done in this marriage," I said. She recoiled, as if my words had struck her without contact. "So that's it," she whispered. "You're just done." I leaned back, crossing my arms. "I give you a choice. Walk away or fight and lose. It's that simple." I checked my watch. 2 hours left. The silence between us was heavy, oppressive, like a final showdown. She twisted her fingers, staring down, searching for an escape, some angle to exploit. I could almost see her mind racing, but I was done playing. Finally, she looked up, and there it was again, that cold defiance, the edge she used when she thought she still held the reins. "Fine," she snapped. "I'll sign." Then she leaned closer, her voice dropping to a venomous hiss. "But don't think this is over, James. I don't need you. All the better without you." I didn't respond. I just gave a single nod, let her cling to whatever made her feel powerful. Deep down, she knew she lost. I nearly laughed but kept it in, my face expressionless. "Keep telling yourself that," I muttered, just loud enough for her to catch. Though I didn't care if she did. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed the pen from the table and signed the papers, her hand trembling slightly. I saw it, a small crack in her facade. She slammed the pen down, stood, and brushed past me without a word. And just like that, it was over. No more lies. No more pretending. Watching her leave the room, something unexpected hit me. Not anger, not guilt, not even sorrow, but relief. For the first time, I knew it was truly finished. It should have ended there, a clean break. I was ready to walk away and let her live in whatever fantasy she craved. But Emma wasn't going to let me have the final say. The next morning, my phone buzzed relentlessly. At first, I thought it was work, maybe a flood of emails, but it wasn't. Messages poured in from friends, coworkers, even people I hadn't spoken to in years, all asking the same thing. "Is it true? Are you and Emma divorcing?" That's when I realized Emma had already started talking. She'd moved fast, spreading her version of events like a wildfire. She had her story prepared, her own narrative. But I wasn't playing her game anymore. This time, I wouldn't be caught off guard. As the messages kept coming, I saw it for what it was, another maneuver, another attempt to control the story. She couldn't stand losing on my terms. Even now, she was trying to rewrite it all. Of course, her version was predictable. Her as the abandoned wife, me as the heartless villain who left her without warning. She always knew how to paint herself as the victim. Then a text from my sister stopped me cold. "I heard what she's saying, but it doesn't sound like you, James. Call me when you can." My sister had never trusted Emma. She'd always kept her distance, and now I was grateful. I called her right away and laid it all out. The affair, the confrontation, the deal I offered, and how Emma lashed out when she realized I was done playing along. There was a pause before she spoke. "She's telling people you neglected her. You cut her off out of nowhere. She says you left her with nothing." I clenched my jaw. Of course, she did. I could picture it. Emma curled up on someone's sofa, fake tears streaming, weaving a tale of betrayal while rewriting our history. "I appreciate you letting me know," I said, keeping my tone steady. "I've got this under control. She's not getting away with it." The rest of the day flew by. I got back in touch with Ethan and asked if there was any way to hold Emma accountable for spreading lies. He was careful, explaining that defamation cases are tough to win, but with enough evidence, we might have a shot. That was all I needed to hear. I started contacting mutual friends, people who knew both of us. Quietly, I asked careful questions, and piece by piece, the truth emerged. Emma had been working the phones, sobbing to anyone who'd listen, casting herself as the devastated wife I'd blindsided. Most were stunned when I shared the real story. One friend even said, "Honestly, James, I always had my doubts about her, but she was so convincing, it was hard to question her." Then came the clincher. That evening, a friend forwarded me an email, an invitation. Emma had organized a support gathering, a night with friends to, in her words, share her truth and heal together. I let out a sharp laugh. She wanted a stage. Fine, she'd get one. But I wasn't letting her control the narrative any. With my phone in hand, I started recording. No yelling, no theatrics, just the facts. I spoke clearly, calmly, like I was testifying. I laid out how I discovered her affair, how I confronted her, the choice I offered, and how she tried to spin it even after it was over. I didn't dive into every gritty detail, just enough to set the record straight. This wasn't about vengeance. It was about truth, plain and simple. When I finished, I didn't broadcast it widely. I sent it to a few trusted people, the kind who'd share it quietly without fueling drama, the kind who'd let the truth stand on its own. The response was swift. Within an hour, my phone buzzed with texts, calls, and messages from people I hadn't spoken to in months. This time, it wasn't confusion. It was support, apologies, and understanding. Some just sent a quick thumbs up. No words needed, but I felt the shift. The narrative was turning. Emma's carefully crafted story was crumbling in real time. She thought she could rewrite it all, paint herself as the victim and me as the villain. But now people were seeing her for who she really was. That was all the closure I needed. The fallout hit quickly. Her support gathering, the crocodile tears, the performance, it all fell apart. My video spread faster than she'd anticipated, and her story unraveled bit by bit. People who'd once sided with her went silent. Some messaged me to apologize. Others just stopped buying her act. But the message I didn't see coming arrived 2 days later from him, her lover. I was at work when the email popped up. Subject: we need to talk. At first, I nearly trashed it, thinking it was spam or another jab from Emma. But I opened it and I'm glad I did. The guy, let's call him Ryan, had seen the video. I don't know if a friend sent it or it reached him directly, but he'd watched it and was writing to apologize. He said he didn't know the whole story. Emma had told him I was distant, cold, emotionally absent, that I'd pushed her away. But after hearing the truth, after seeing how it really went down, he realized he'd been played too. If I'd known, he wrote, I never would have gotten involved with her. He closed with one final line. I'm done. I don't want any part of the mess she made. I leaned back in my chair, letting it sink in. Emma had lost it all, her marriage, her reputation, and now the man she'd thrown everything away for. She built this chaos, and now she was drowning in it. I forwarded the email to Ethan with a brief note, add this to the file. He replied within minutes, noted, this is gold. For the first time in ages, I felt a quiet calm, not triumph, not vindication, just peace. I didn't have to say another word. Her own actions had done the job. She'd started the fire, and I was just watching it burn. That evening, things got even better. My phone started ringing, Emma's name flashing on the screen. Again and again, I let it ring. She kept calling, relentless. Curiosity got the better of me, so I finally picked up, my voice flat. Canal. There was a pause, a shaky breath, then her voice, low and worn. James, we need to talk. About what? I asked. The damage you've caused by the lies you've been spreading? She faltered. I saw the video. Why would you do that? Do you have any idea what you started? I nearly laughed. When I started, I said, I did what you never could. I told the truth. Her voice cracked, a mix of anger and desperation. Now everyone's turning on me. People I thought were my friends. They're blocking me, ignoring me. They think I'm some kind of monster. I didn't waver. That's not on me, Emma. It's on you. You created this. Maybe next time, think before you tear people apart. She tried to shift gears. I could hear it in her voice, the attempt to pull back control. Please, it doesn't have to end this way. We had 6 years together. Doesn't that count for something? I let the silence hang, sharp and heavy. Then I spoke, my voice deliberate and icy. 6 years mean nothing when they're rooted in deception. You made your choice, Emma. Now you deal with it. Silence followed. Then, in a quiet, broken tone, as if something inside her had finally given way, she said, I never thought you'd stand up to me like this. I let out a low, bitter chuckle. That's the problem. You never really knew who I was. Then I ended the call. No hesitation, no second glances. She could keep weeping, keep playing her role. But now the truth was out, and there was no undoing it. Just when I thought the dust had settled, that I could finally breathe, a message from a friend hit my phone, and I knew it wasn't over. Yo, you see Emma's latest post? It read, with just a link. I paused, then tapped it. It took me to her public page. There it was, a long, melodramatic caption under a carefully curated selfie, staged like a scene from a heartbreak movie. Eyes puffy, hand to her cheek, head angled just so. When the person you trusted most shatters your world, leaving you broken and alone, you barely know who you are anymore. I thought we were building a life, but some people walk away when things get hard. It was pure theater, a calculated performance. She wasn't just posting, she was pleading for sympathy, clinging to whatever support she could salvage. But something felt off. The tone was hollow, like even she didn't by her own words. And the comments? They told a different story. Her attempt to rally support was backfiring. People who'd once stood by her were switching sides. The shift was undeniable. Some apologized for not seeing through her sooner. Others kept it short. A thumbs up or a brief, I get it now. It was enough. Her lies were collapsing. One by one, the truth broke through. Friends and family who'd seen my video weren't staying quiet. They left comments that sliced through her charade. Wait, you cheated and he's a villain? Really? This isn't heartbreak, it's damage control. Own it, Emma. Every post, every reply chipped away at the narrative she'd crafted. The sympathy she'd counted on was gone, derailed. Yet she doubled down, flooding her page with cryptic quotes about resilience and healing, posing as some wounded warrior rising from the ruins. But her posts fell flat. No one was buying it anymore. Her voicemails piled up in my inbox, anger, tears, blame. I ignored them. Her desperation wasn't my burden. She was sinking in the web of her own lies. Days later, my sister Sarah warned me Emma was spiraling, blaming everyone, losing her grip on reality. The facade was crumbling. Her circle of supporters had abandoned her. Her frantic posts were getting fewer likes, her audience vanishing. Sarah said Emma was moving out. She'd packed her things. Relief washed over me, a quiet peace settling in as the chaos faded. The house felt calm, as if it had been waiting for her to leave. Her lies left with her belongings, leaving an empty space I could rebuild. Later, sitting alone, I realized the silence wasn't lonely, it was earned. Messages from old friends poured in, praising my honesty. Even Claire, Emma's former friend, reached out, admitting she'd once been fooled by Emma's manipulation. It was clear now, Emma had always been this way, a master of deceit, and her mask had finally fallen. One evening, I sat outside with a glass of bourbon, the sunset painting the trees in shades of gold. I sent Emma one last message, truthful and final. Don't mistake my silence for forgiveness. Then I blocked her. Watching the sunset, I felt a shift, closure, calm. I hadn't won through vengeance but by reclaiming myself. The next morning, freedom settled in, soft and steady, washing away the bitterness. I returned to my routines, reconnected with friends, picked up old hobbies, feeling more like myself than I had in years. I was living again, not just surviving.